Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our last week where, if it's not a test day, it is just a question and answer day. So I'm not going to talk much unless there are questions and things you want me to talk about. Yes, go ahead. Hold on, let me just open the book. I spoke too soon. I'm not prepared. All right. 14, you say. 14, 14, 14. 14.2. 14 point, problem? Or what is 14.13? Ah, got it. The decimal conversion? Yeah. Okay, so first of all, let me just start this right. It's a different strategy if you have a terminating decimal versus a repeating decimal. So first of all, you have to look, okay, which kind of decimal am I given? Then I'll act according to that. For the terminating decimals, you just count how many decimal places are there. For number 1, for example, there are 3. So it's going to be 378 over 1,000 because 1,000 has 3 zeros. For number 2, it's technically 0.8 or just 8 over, what would you say? 100, right, because there are 2 places, so 2 zeros in my denominator. And then the next one is 5, which is the whole portion, and 95 over 100. So the terminating decimals are quite straightforward. It's the repeating ones where I have a whole method and a whole thing to do. So now that we have just covered the basics before, what exactly is your question? Right, right. Oh, excuse me, sorry. Mic's on. Yes. It depends on what it is. So let's do 2 examples. Uh, let's do 0.04 eating both of those versus 0.04 repeating. Only the 4 repeats in the second one, whereas the first one is 0.4040404. Let's do the left one. So now I'm saying let question mark in a box represent this. I'm just going to do it a little bit shorter, but that's fine. Because these are numbers, I can use my equal sign. Then my goal is to shift this so that one of the repeating sections appear in front of the decimal point. Obviously, then I have to move it twice. So I'm going to multiply by 100 because that moves it twice. Now, technically, this is 0.04 repeating, but we don't write this 0. Though you're welcome to if you want to. So I've shifted it out. Then I want to get rid of this decimal tail. Just want to check if people in this So looking at the decimal side, I see, well, I have to subtract 0.04 repeating because that's exactly the tail. Now I look, okay, in terms of question marks, I have to subtract the same thing. How many question marks do I need to subtract? Well, this guy that I know I have to subtract looks exactly the same as the top, which is exactly the same as a question mark. So if I'm going to subtract this, it is exactly the same as subtracting a single question mark based on this. This is sort of my key that I refer to see what is the same thing but in question mark language. Now it's exactly the same. Then I had 100 question marks. I take away 1. I have 99 question marks. I subtract the decimal tail perfectly. I have 4 left. And then I convert this to division. That's an ugly question mark. 4 divided by 99, or 4 over 99. The fraction is just a different representation of division. Okay, so that is very similar to questions where all of the decimal portion is repeated. For example, number 6, see the line is over all the decimals. Number 5, after I separate the 2, of course, the 7-2 is on the decimal side, and all of it's repeated. Number 4, number 8, oh, it's 0-4, it's the same. But not always, like number 7. Not all the decimals are under the line, or like this one, right here. So let's see the difference between them. Same start, same method. It's a repeating decimal, so my start is the same. It's question mark in a box or whatever symbol you want. Now I see, okay, well, still, I need to get the repeating portion, which is a 4, in front of the decimal, or I have to move the decimal point behind it, however you want to say it. So I'm still going to move it twice based on its position. So I'm still going to multiply by 100 because of how I need to move the decimal point. But now only the 4s repeat, so there are a ton of 4s after this one. The 0 was only a one-time thing. So it's based on what I'm working with. The steps are the same. The next step is to throw away the decimal tail. And looking at this guy, it's 0.4 repeating. I see it. It has to go. There's no choice. That has to go. But now the question is, I need to take the same amount or quantity away on the question mark side so that everything's in balance. What is the number of question marks that is equivalent to what I'm subtracting here? Because looking up at my key is not exactly the same. Previously, what I subtracted was exactly the same as the part in the box, so I had no issue. Here, what I'm subtracting is not exactly the same as the part in the box, which means I can't just subtract a single question mark. It's not the same, because a single question mark is equivalent to 0.04 repeating, and that's not what I'm working with. I'm working with 0.4 repeating. So now, how do I make these the same? Is not how do I make these the same? How do I make the one in the box look like what I am working with in the circle? Well, it'll be the same if I can shift this decimal point 1 to the right. Then it'll be identical. Still with me? They don't look the same right now. How do I make the box one look like this one in the circle? I just shift the decimal point, right? Then they'll look the same. It's just off, just a shift away. Which means I have to sort of, I'll do it like this, do the same thing here on the other side so that they match. So in order for the circle to be the same as the right side in the box, I have to shift the decimal point to the right by 1, which I can accomplish by multiplying by 10, which means I have to multiply by 10 on the other side as well, so the equal sign is still valid, which means I need to subtract 10 question marks to have these guys be the same. This is the hardest part, absolutely, of all of this. This is the tricky bit. And the first time you see it and you sort of get the idea, okay. Then the next example you practice, okay, it's a little better. 5 in, and it's totally fine. It just takes time. And then we go about our business, right? We only have 90 question marks left. We drop the tail, so we have 4, blah, blah, blah. And we get 4 over 90. And then, of course, you can check it, right? You can put it into your calculator and see, do I get the decimal I'm looking for? Well, 4 over 90. 4 over 90 is 0.04 repeating. Perfect. So I can double check it if I'm not sure. But still, you still have to sort of write the steps to show how you get there. Yeah, so practice ones where I have a 0 or a couple of zeros in front before the repeating portion, and they'll all have a similar issue with the subtraction step. But it's just doing just some repetition should be good enough. All right. So, like I said, this is a Q&A session. I'm not going to chat all the time. Questions to talk about. Otherwise, as you please. Catch up on my emails while I'm waiting for people to say stuff, assuming everyone can hear me. Okay, email check time. Uh, Just gonna have to blank the screen for a second. It's over here. Used to working on 2 screens. It's weird when you are reduced to just one. Like I have to fit everything on one screen. It's so annoying. It's spoiled. Okay. This glove is annoying me. We should get some music. Music would be nice. Some music going. There. Wrong screen, buddy. Okay, what shall we play? Some background music. What this is going to be, let's start with a low volume. Oh, it's not. Check the volume. Right. There we go. Nice. Awesome. I do, yes. I do read the Twitch chat. I'm still in the process of eventually switching to Twitch completely. But right now, I'm doing both YouTube and Twitch just to give people options. It's just Q&A. Side. Just side. I don't know if you can hear me, so I'm typing it anyway. Oh, okay. You never know. People mute weird things. So I haven't had people use Twitch, though I do want to explore that further and see it. I think it's maybe a little better. I don't know. But people do like YouTube, so I can't quite turn that off either. I'm just catching up on some emails until someone asks a question. Sure. Combinations is perhaps a bigger discussion. And from that question, I take it you are not one of my regular students. Not that that's a problem, I'm just checking. What course are you taking so I can sort of put the level of difficulty to context? For example, like a business, like an intro to probability is different from a combinatorics course and things like that. It's a little different in how we approach things. Interested in asking questions, so you have the floor. But it'll be nice to know what kind of course you're doing. Or if it's just a random question. Random questions are also cool. Don't know if my music is too loud. Just guessing. Oh. Okay, calculus, cool. I can't think of combinations being in calculus, so you might be doing a weird calculus course. Combinations are very different. Unless, what could you talk about in calculus with a combination? Binomial theorem. I don't think that's in a normal calculus. Taylor polynomials, but that's not intro calculus. I don't know. You're gonna have to give me like an example question where you use that formula. It's a little vague. Is it a counting question? Is it a calculus question? Need some context here. Oh wow, I don't know what calculus you do. That is not common to do probability in calculus. Maybe a higher level calculus. Not that I've seen. We try and separate these things to not overwhelm people because probability on its own and counting and stuff, it's different. Difficult. Combinations. Combinations. How do you want to write them? NCR? Or maybe the more correct bracket notation? That's pretty much the two of them, right? Regardless, you calculate this as n factorial over the difference factorial r factorial. Feel free to steer me in a different direction. I'm just guessing what you need here. I don't have a lot of questions just off the top of my head that are involved, but it doesn't take much to just make one up. For this kind of question, we have a typical situation. Okay, the thing is, I understand permutations, kind of makes sense. Okay, that's good. Oh, we can make it a K, sure. If you like the K. Doesn't matter what it's called, right? Yes, okay, well, that helps a lot. If you understand permutations, then we're in business. So the question between combinations and permutations is different. Let's say the P question versus the combination question. Those are different questions, right? I'm going to do the permutation question first. Now it can be phrased in many ways, but one way or another, it's equivalent to select. Let's suppose we have some letters. We have capital letters A, B, C, D, E. Don't want to make too many, but I want to have some selection here. From that, put 3 letters in a row. Put meaning, because I'm putting them in a row, that implies an arrangement. It's going to automatically happen. Based on what I'm doing, arranging is what I'm going to be doing. But I'm not arranging all of them. I'm doing a selection at the same time. But in the permutation question, the essence of that question, those two, selecting and arranging, are intertwined. They're connected in a way that I can't really isolate selection from arranging. When there could be different restrictions. Now, it could be people being seated. It could be so many different things. There's no end. If I just focus on the letters, I could have more restrictions. I could have a restriction like don't choose any vowels, or arrange the A and the B next to each other, stuff like that. So I can have different restrictions on the selection aspect, and I can have different restrictions on the arrangement aspect of what I'm doing, of my experiment. Good. Please let me know. I need constant updating because I don't know your level, right? It's hard to guess correctly. But it's important to understand the essential question behind these things and what makes them different. That permutations is sort of an all-in-one deal. It's a package deal. I'm selecting and I'm arranging, and because of the way I'm conducting the experiment, picking things and putting them in a row, those two aspects are together. It's a select and arrange all in one. They can't be separated. But understanding some restrictions might require me to look at them separately. It's not a big stretch to think. I could have requirements just on selecting, just on arranging. I can't do it with permutation. I can't do everything with permutations. I want to, from the same selection, the same collection of, that's a D. Trying to not take too long with this discussion because it can be a lengthy one. I want to just select 3 letters. I'm not putting them down. They're in my hand, shuffled in any way. If I have a bag of these letters, pretend they're Scrabble letters. I'm putting my hand in the bag. I make sure I feel 3 of them. I pull them out. Those 3 could appear in my hand in many ways. It really doesn't matter. The A could be at the top and the A could be at the bottom. It could be the same collection of 3 letters. So this takes out the arranging aspect, which I can then easily do later by just saying 3 factorial. So by separating the selection from the arranging, I can now go and redo the permutation question without the permutation formula. Okay, so let me backtrack just a second. Not much. So let's squeeze it in here. I'm just going to write it like this. The permutation question, the number of ways to do this, putting three things in a row, is however you want to write it, not 3. 5 originally, P3. Right? That's the answer. It has a formula, but until I worry about calculating it, 5P3 is totally fine. The number of ways to answer or to do the experiment in the combination question is not the same. It's not the same thing. The number of ways is represented by 5C3. Or do you like the bracket version? Doesn't matter to me. Bracket version is more correct, but whatever. And they have a formula as well. But now I can use the combination version to answer the permutation question, to the point where this P is now completely unnecessary. It'll never be needed ever again. The combination is a superior way of looking at it, if I can separate things. So now I'm answering the permutation question, and I can say, look, instead of really thinking of the practical action that I'm doing here, let's just conceptualize this in 2 steps. Step 1 will be just select the 3 things. But that's not answering the question completely. I have to follow that with step 2. Wow. Speaking and writing different things is not my strength. Then I have to follow it by arranging them. So I can break the permutation question up into 2 steps, one followed by the next. So by the basic principle of counting, I have to multiply them. If I just select, that's the combination. If I then have to arrange them, how many ways can I arrange 3 things? They're different, 3 factorial. So I can always, with the power, I'll say the power of the combination, the P is now completely unnecessary, to the point where I literally will never write this P again. There's nothing that the P is needed for, because I now have this superior thing. Okay, so that puts everything into context in a way. People are so attached to this P. It is, in a way, the worst thing to use once I have combinations, because it doesn't allow me to separate selection restrictions from arranging restrictions. I'm stuck. It has to be an extremely basic question, or the P will never be right, which is why we need to just select and then arrange. And now I can handle restrictions in step 1 and very different, potentially, restrictions in step 2. I've separated the very different aspects of my end, of getting to my end result. So anyway, so now this, let's put this in the box, is equivalent to the P notation, right? This is exactly the same as 5P3. Now, if you are happy with this formula, it's 5 factorial. No, it's not 5 factorial. Let's go up here. Where's my hand? Well, yeah, okay, it's 5 factorial. 5 factorial over the difference, right? 5 minus 3 factorial. Instead of writing 2, I'll match the formula. Right. Oh, my computer is unhappy. Hold on. It suddenly got very unhappy, very laggy. Okay. If I want to figure out, sort of reverse engineer, well, what is the combination? Can I not write? What is happening right now? We're at the highlight of the discussion, and it doesn't want me to write. Oh, it likes that. Doesn't like my pen. No, now it's happy again. I just went too fast for it. Couldn't keep up. Just want a question mark. That's all. What should the question mark be so that these guys are the same? Well, obviously, it's going to have to be 5 factorial, 5 minus 3 factorial, because I need these things there. And to cancel the effects of the 3 factorial, I'm going to have to divide by 3 factorial. Now, this isn't the best explanation, but it's the fastest one to get to build from the permutation formula to the combination formula. That doesn't explain really why do I divide. But in some sense, I can argue that I divide to counteract the separate arrangement stage, which the permutation does. It's built in. So in a way, by dividing by 3 factorial, I'm in a way canceling the arrangement aspect that the permutation has built in to do it later. That's one way of doing it. It's a quick way of getting to the formula. There is a longer way, but maybe this works for you, so I'm just giving it a shot. So there's a lot of things happening here, and it's a little tricky because people are introduced to the permutation first, and they think, oh yeah, this is it. I have an awesome tool here. Now I can answer questions. When in truth, you can answer very little because of this all-in-one aspect. It is extremely restrictive. But once we get to combinations and we can isolate steps according to what requirements can ask, I can now handle, oh, make sure you select a B. Okay, that's the selection restriction. Make sure all vowels are next to each other. That's an arrangement restriction. Permutations can't handle that. It can only handle the most basic of questions. With the combination, it's hard for people to let go of the P. But I can think back and I will literally never write a P again. There is absolutely nothing I need to do a P for. Ever again. So maybe that helps. Think about it. I will. Ashley's not even here. I can't even see her. But thank you for letting me know. I do see her message. Showing up in the channel though. Anyway, let me know if you have any questions about that. Yes, while I'm waiting for her, you're welcome to ask a follow-up question. And now it's the question. It's really a matter of seeing a lot of variety in your word problems to really see how to use this combination breakdown of steps. Let's look at your question second. It was really the 3 factorial that got me, but thinking about it makes sense. Yeah, I mean, you want to sort of make connections and see how these things are related and try and explain it to yourself. Different explanations, of course, would work. Because then you remember it better, if for nothing else. And it's not just a cold, detached formula you have to memorize and you don't have any idea where it even comes from. You want to have some idea because it helps that memorization process. Helps, yeah. Okay, I'll go chat with Ashley. I will be back in a little bit.
Hi. All good. Cool. Okay. Sure, I don't really know what we're doing exactly, but okay. Do I have to like write anything? Okay. Okay, sounds good. I'm still here. No, it's good. Oh, I honestly can't remember. Um, um, well, isn't it just like figuring out, oh, like the logics